Here we go. Good evening, everybody, one more time. So let's start. I would like to start with a question. Would you agree if I say that we often sell and buy different things? Would you agree or not? Just can you raise your hand? Yes. Yes. Would you agree if I say that sometimes we buy some people and sometimes we sell ourselves? Would you agree with that? No. Only one person. Okay. So today, yes, actually we often try to sell ourselves and sometimes we tend to buy some people. So I would like to talk about this thing. And for some people, this situation is, they place this challenge along with the public speaking fear. For some people it's a big challenge. Some people even consider this phenomenon as a first date, because they think that, like in first date, awkwardness can occur, consequences are unpredictable, and it's always challenging. And today, maybe you found out what I'm going to talk about. I would like to talk about selling yourself, to put it differently, job interview. So in job interview, speaking directly, maybe in a rude way, we try to sell ourselves. If you can manage to do it, we'll get that job. If you can't sell yourself, no matter how smart you are, you'll not be able to get that job. There are exceptions, but in general, this is what it's about. And today I would like to talk about, based on my experience, I would like to share with you some practical tips, some observations, and I hope that at the end of the meeting you will be encouraged, and next time whenever you have an interview you will tackle this challenge with great enthusiasm and enjoyment, because it not only helps us to grow personal and professional, but it also creates a platform to be more creative. So today I would like to demonstrate two cases which really happened, one in Almaty several years ago, one in Kiev. So in order to demonstrate this story, I would like to use objects. So this is calculator, as you know. Around 3 years ago, a friend of mine called Davlet Kumar Khan, by chance he applied to Kaspi Bank to work as a manager. He was not going to apply, but I don't know what happened, so he applied. He didn't have any experience in banking, he didn't have experience in finance, he was an English teacher. And he applied and he managed to pass the first two steps, selection process. There were interviews and tests, and the last final one was, like there were 10 finalists, and on the table there were 10 objects. And 9 finalists, candidates were with banking background. Only he didn't have this background. And they had a chance to choose any object on the table, and people rushed and got what they wanted, and there was only calculator left. And he had to take this calculator. The task was, there were sitting HR managers and directors watching. His task was to sell this calculator to his potential another candidate, competitive candidate. And that person's task was to reject all the time. I don't need this stuff, I don't need this stuff. And they were given 3 minutes and he managed to get that job. You know, without having any experience in that sphere. And do you have any ideas how did he do it? Did he do it? Any ideas?
No.
No? So I will just try to perform it. So I'm Davlet, he's a potential person. I said, would you please buy a calculator? It is useful to calculate also. He says, I have a mobile phone and I have everything in mobile phone. I don't need calculator. And he gains, maybe you will buy it because you're going to be a sales manager and you will need to calculate different stuffs and shares or, and so on. And he says, I have mobile phone, smartphone, everything is there. And he thinks like a couple of seconds and said, what's your mobile number? He says his mobile number, he takes his mobile and calls to him, and he picks up his phone and he says, is it Kaspi Bank? He says, yes, I'm manager Andrei. And would you please tell me how much will it cost me if I buy used car? Would you please calculate it? He's using his mobile phone. Certainly he cannot calculate it at the same time. And he says, I will buy it. So in this way he got the job. It was very creative, and he worked 3 months and he didn't like it. So there was another case in Kiev in the recruiting company, and it was the same selection process, and the last one was to sell something to somebody who doesn't need that stuff. And he was given, no, not this one, he was given a comp, yeah, and there was sitting old, bald man. And his task was to sell this to him, you know. He thought, like, again, several seconds because it's really difficult to insist, you know, to sell to that person because he doesn't need it. And he took it and came here and said, take this. It will bring happiness to you. And that person started smiling and he got the job, you know. So what I want to say, it is challenging, but it helps us to be creative, to use our creativity and to develop our creativity. Last 2 years, I have had more than 300 interviews. Actually, as a potential candidate, I have had 6 interviews, and 4 of them were successful, 2 of them were not successful, and I'm happy that 2 of them were not successful because I share the point of view of Nelson Mandela, who says that don't judge me by my successes. Judge me how many times I fell down and how many times I managed to stand up. This is more important for me, and it's very necessary to experience failure sometimes. And as I told you, I have had so many interviews, potentially teachers and sometimes administrative staff. And whenever, sometimes I call, sometimes our HR manager calls, and whenever we call and try to invite that person, we say, can you come tomorrow at 9 o'clock? He says, yes, I can come, no problems. But for me, it's really strange because when somebody invites you to somewhere, you should ask a certain number of questions. What kind of interview am I going to have? Because we have different types of interviews. It's not always one-to-one. Yeah? And sometimes it's very useful. It's my personal advice to think for a while, say, let me check my agenda. And say, I cannot come tomorrow, I can come on Friday. That's fine, you know. It's even better. So it's my personal observation. And I would like to use my PowerPoint presentation and continue my ideas. No, another one. Not this one. It's not mine. So, job interview. I found this picture. Can you go back? IKEA, you know IKEA company? And this potential candidate, HR manager, and he says, have a seat. So if you're creative enough, if you can fix this as a chair, you will most probably get a job. So this is really interesting. Let's continue. What is job interview? For me, it is selling yourself in the labor market. Let's go. So it's me. If you can sell, you'll get that job. And I would like to share with you interesting facts. It's real data, statistical data. Let's go. So 76% of resumes are discarded for unprofessional email address. So be careful when you apply to serious company. You shouldn't send your solnishka.something. You know, it doesn't work. It should be professional, and I recommend you to use your full name, Hakimov Begzod at yahoo.com or whatever, gmail.com. If you use this not serious email account, you will be discarded immediately. 68% of employees will find you on Facebook or other social media. So nowadays, social media networking is a big tool to find a strong tool to find a job. 88% of rejection rate when you include a photo on your resume. If it is not recommended or it's not compulsory, you shouldn't use a resume in your CV. 89% of people have hired someone through LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is becoming really powerful nowadays. Let's continue. There are 50 million brands and organizations on Facebook. 10.4 million of employees will find you on Facebook or other social media. 18.4 million applicants found a job on Facebook. This is the data of 2014, by the way. 8 million applicants found a job on Twitter. Let's continue. So the average time spent by recruiters looking at your resume 5 to 7 seconds. If they like it, they will continue looking. While the average length of interview is 40 minutes, 33% of 2,000 surveyed bosses indicated they know within the first 90 seconds if they will hire you or not. So this first impression is very important, as in first day in dating as well as in job interview. Let's continue. As I told you, we have different types of interviews. The first one, one-to-one. If somebody invites you to interview, you should ask, what type of interview am I going to have? The next one is panel interview, which is also widely spread. You should take into account this one. Next one is competency interview, where you are evaluated on your competency, like it's a specific interview. Let's continue. And interview outfit is also important. You should take into account where you're going to apply. Eye contact, everybody knows even in public speaking, eye contact is very important, so take into account this fact as well. Do not slouch, this is very important. If you look like this, it doesn't work, you know, it should be all the time like it's me. I'm self-confident. Next one, use your hand. It enhances, makes your speech or your answers to the interviewer better. Next one, do not touch your face. It's very important. I had this case with my last interview, most probably I failed that one. And when you touch, it's not good. wait. If you really want to touch it, wait until it finishes, then you can do whatever you want. Let's continue. Smile, so it's obvious. There's nothing new. Let's continue. Mirror. This is a very interesting thing. Whenever you have an interview, you should try to imitate what the interviewer is doing. If that person is trying to note down something, you should try to note down something, even if there is nothing. If you can imitate, it will be useful. Let's continue. And I would like to finish with one video. And before we finishing, it's part of a movie, and it's a very popular movie. It's called The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. Do you know this? Have you watched this film?
Yes.
Yes. Let's continue. No. Slide. Slide. So this is Chris Gardner, a real person of the movie. So Will Smith played his role. This is a true story, and continue. It's his childhood, and this is real Chris Gardner, popular person. And now I'd like to watch like 1 minute interview from the film. Film.
Mr. Gardner.
Chris Gardner. How are you? Good morning. Chris Gardner. Chris Gardner, good to see you again. Chris Gardner, pleasure. I've been sitting out there for the last half hour trying to come up with a story that would explain my being here dressed like this. And I wanted to come up with a story that would demonstrate qualities that I'm sure you all admire here, like earnestness or diligence and team playing to something. And I couldn't think of anything. So the truth is, I was arrested for failure to pay parking tickets. Parking tickets? And I ran all the way here from the Polk station, the police station.
What were you doing before you were arrested?
I was painting my apartment.
Is it dry now?
I hope so.
Kay says you're pretty determined.
Oh, he's been waiting outside the front of the building with some 40-pound gizmo for over a month.
He said you're smart.
I'd like to think so.
And you want to learn this business.
Yes, sir, I want to learn this business.
You already started learning on your own?
Absolutely.
Jay,
Yes, sir.
how many times have you seen Chris?
No, I don't know. One too many, apparently.
Does he ever dressed like this?
No. No. Jacket and tie.
First in your class? In school? High school?
Yes, sir.
How many in the class?
12. It was a small town.
I'll say.
But I was also first in my radar class in the Navy, and that was a class of 20. Can I say something? I'm the type of person, if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you that I don't know. But I bet you what, I know how to find the answer, and I will find the answer. Is that fair enough?
Chris, what would you say if a guy walked in for an interview without a shirt on? and I hired him, what would you say?
He must have had on some really nice pants.
Okay, so this is my favorite part, and I would like to conclude. I would like to use again Nelson Mandela's quote. I will try to read it. So, as Mandela states, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not darkness. We all mean to shine as children do. I wish you to be childish and shine forever. And I hope that my speech would help you next time whenever you have a job interview to look at this challenging occasion from different angles. Thank you very much.